Yo, 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 yo. What the fuck is up, fight fans? It's your man 3K the boss, aka Mr. Two Hands Up. Bah, bah. You already know what it is, man. It's a crisp, cold Saturday morning on the east coast of the United States. Shout out to everybody, wherever you are, and however you are in the world. Hope everybody's good. All the constables, salute. How you doing this morning, Queen? Chris Price. What's up, Brody? How you feeling? Toby Bartlett. Let's go. So it occurred to me as I was doing all of this editing and I was doing all this mixing things up, I really started to, I started contemplating. I really started thinking. I was like, is Jermell Charlo's career in jeopardy under the tutelage of Derrick James? And I say that because when I really look at Derrick James, and I look at the fighters Derrick James has, really notably, the only ones that I can really be familiar with are Marcus Brown. And we know he took a loss to the great Artur Beterbiev in a very devastating fashion. Bloody, grueling battle that, he just really tried to just get on his bicycle and survive. Kind of in the same way that, he fought John Pascal, but it was a lot less knockdowns in that fight. But he still was knocked the fuck out. But when you look at Derrick James' career and you look at the fighters he has under his belt and you look at how he trains his fighters, it seems very, very one-dimensional to me. So I would have to ask you guys, when it comes to this rematch and it comes to the likes of Jermell Charlo's career, considering I would have to consider he's the better of the two Charlos, but he has the worst trainer of the two Charlos. Now, this is no slight to Derrick James, but we all have our own preferences and we all have, our own personal opinions on how we feel about trainers and how we feel about trainers and how they train their fighters. For me, I am not of the belief that Derrick James is really the one that can fully maximize the potential of a guy like Jermell Charlo. Now, if we look at Jermell Charlo, we know that he's pretty much had his whole career at 154 pounds. Correct me if I'm wrong. Being the unified champion here, he's got notable wins over guys like Erickson Lubin when the odds were all stacked against him, and he got a devastating knockout on him. He's got wins over former champion Austin Trout. Former unified champion Jason Rosario. But there was something a little off about that fight to me. And to be quite honest, it seems that Jermell has a very leaky defense and he has a very one-dimensional way about how he goes about his work. And I would have to say, in my personal opinion, and probably some of you probably wouldn't agree with me, Jermell gets through a lot of his fights with pure raw athleticism, natural ability, I would have to say punching power, and just a whole lot of will and a whole lot of heart. Because in the Brian Castano match, I still to this day ask myself, why did he never throw the uppercut? I think if he would have had an uppercut in his repertoire in that fight, I think that fight possibly could have went in a different way, possibly in a stoppage of Brian Castano. But when I look at Jermell's career and I think of the way he carries himself and I think of all of the things that he can be, I just don't feel like he's going to maximize his talent under Derrick James. And I feel like Derrick James is one of those individuals who goes along and gets along and kind of lies to his fighters about, certain circumstances in the situation in which they are in. Now, behind the scenes, when he spoke to Jermell, I don't know if he truly told him that, he really lost that fight. I don't know if they're training right now and he's really saying to this guy that, there are certain things that you need to do differently, because considering, if you watch the video I just did, we both witnessed this guy say to Fight Hype and all of the other pundits in the building that Tony Harrison was a much better fighter than Brian Castano. Now, I would have to ask you guys, does anybody in here believe that? Because I don't. And if he is an individual that felt that way about Tony Harrison, considering the type of fight that Brian Castano had against his unified champion in Jermell Charlo, wouldn't we have to say that he honestly felt as though Jermell lost that first fight. And I say that because if he's saying these things, considering the kind of fire Jermell was under, and I really can't give Jermell too many rounds respectfully in that fight. You could say 4. You could give him 4 rounds. Honestly, I gave him the 2nd, the 10th, and the 11th. And he possibly had a swing round somewhere in between the 7th and the 9th. But outside of that, what did Jermell really do? And for your coach, and this is why, excuse me, and this is why I love Teddy Atlas, because no matter if Teddy Atlas is in front of the media, behind the scenes, or whoever's around, he's going to tell his fighter the truth at all times. Because how are you going to grow if you're constantly being pacified? And I feel like Jermell Charlo is in the position to where he's being completely pacified by Derrick James. Now, does Derrick James know something that we, the fans, already know? That the Charlo twins live somewhere in a world of denial? Possibly so. But even in knowing that, if you're the head trainer and you're behind this guy, and if you're supposed to come up with all of the X's and O's, football terminology speaking, when it comes to making your fighter great, or as great as he needs to be, how can you consistently sit in front of these people, or how can you sit in front of your unified champion, knowing he's on the cusp of doing something that is very rarely done, and that puts you at the top of the tops when it comes to the sport of boxing? How can you sit up there and constantly throw out that type of rhetoric? I don't get it. If I'm your head trainer, or if anybody's a head trainer, I would like to think that they have just a sensible mindset. I don't care if you ever laced up gloves or if you didn't lace up gloves. But if you've watched boxing the entirety of your life, from the time you've grown up, and you're looking at your fighter, how many fighters flourish when they're being lied to? Boxing is a sport of pressure, and you're under and pressure is what forms diamonds. So if you're being pressured in the ring, when it comes to getting outside of that ring and it comes to drawing up the X's and O's when it comes to your fighter, you should be putting on all forms of pressure on your fighter to make him the greatest he needs to be. Because this is a situation where you can get hurt. Inside of the ring, your profile can be hurt. Inside of the ring, outside of the ring, how your money is dictated on how you perform. And once again, you're in the position where you can do something that is very rarely done. So when I hear a guy compare an individual like Brian Castano, who backed down Iris Landry Lara, who is pretty much the little guy in every situation that he goes into, and you're sitting there saying that Tony Harrison is a better fighter than him, knowing that that is probably the most tumultuous fight this guy's ever been into, it's the most pressure he's ever dealt with, how can Jermell grow from a situation like that? Now let's mirror Errol Spence's career and Jermell's career. What is different about how they go about their work? What's really different there? Other than the fact that Errol might be a little bit more of an avid body puncher, but at the same time, both of these individuals go about their work on a streamlined basis. There isn't a bunch of lateral movement. They both have extremely leaky defenses. So does that come from the tutelage? Or is it just they like being punched in the face? But regardless, I have not seen any growth from Erickson Lubin to Brian Castano. I haven't. And I'm going to get started on Jermall too, because that is another conversation that has to be had, because there is a level of pacifying these champions that's going on in boxing that cannot be accepted. It won't be accepted on Reaper Gang Radio. If you're a fan of boxing, I would hope that you wouldn't accept it, because I think that they're getting away with they're allowed to escape situations when it comes to being pressured. When these guys are in press conferences, they will not answer questions that aren't in their favor. So what does that tell me about a fighter? What does that tell you about a fighter? That tells me one of two things. They cannot handle constructive criticism, and they're mentally brittle. They're mentally weak. And if you're dealing with a mentally weak, insecure fighter when it comes to his stance on how he performs in the ring, that means that is a hard fighter to deal with, and it is hard to be great when you're under those circumstances. So I would want to go with more of an old school teacher. Or better yet, it doesn't even have to be an old school teacher. I would just want to go with the truth. And I think when it comes to the Charlo twins, that is a problem. They don't have, I don't know if they have the mental fortitude, or I just don't know if they have the capabilities of accepting the truth. And if they don't have the capabilities or the mental fortitude of accepting the truth, how can they ever get better? How can they ever grow? How can we ever see them reign? And how can they ever maintain that reign? Because, you know, if you look at Jermall, Jermall has been a reigning champion. He won the, correct me if I'm wrong, he won the IBF title in 2017 and he held it until 2019. He won the IBF title off of Cornelius Brundage. Cornelius Brundage. And after he won that title off Cornelius Brundage, he fought who? He fought Jason Rosario and defended his title, and I believe he defended his title against Austin Trout. When he got the WBC title, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the WBC was vacated. And then as he held the WBC title, who has he fought since then? He has fought a bunch of guys who campaigned at 154 pounds, and he's a 160-pound fighter. He fought, what's his name? He fought the Irish guy, Dan Hogan? Dennis Hogan? Dan Hogan? I always get his name mixed up. He fought him. He fought the guy that was on Contender, Brandon Adams. He fought Juan Montiel, Sergey Derevyanchenko, and he fought Matvey Korobov. Juan Montiel, very sus freaking fight. That was a fight that should have been a showcase fight, that he should have went out there and he should have showed his ass. On the night that him and his brother both shared a doubleheader, he lost to Matvey Korobov. Let's be honest here, guys. He lost to Matvey Korobov. And we know that on paper, Jermell lost to none other than Tony Harrison. So I'm segueing here because what I'm saying is, what has Jermall Charlo done at 160 pounds to where he can just continuously fight these individuals, these lackluster individuals that he doesn't even really go out and he stops these guys. He doesn't go out and he performs in a spectacular way that you can leave the arena and you can talk about him in such high regard and speak so highly of his skill set. Now, Sergey Derevyanchenko, you know, he did well inside of the phone booth. We're talking about a Sergey Derevyanchenko who just came off a life or death battle with Triple G, who honestly should have lost that fight. So how much confidence do you have going from Triple G into fighting a Jermall Charlo and still being able to make Jermall Charlo look nothing more than a normal champion, a guy who has realistically inherited a vacant title, and he really honestly looks like a guy that inherited a vacant title? Somebody, like, the pressure is on. The pressure is on for both of these individuals, and I feel like the tower can crumble quickly. If you're not willing to take instructions of constructive criticism, if you are always willing to be pacified and you're only going to accept media who is going to allow you to skate without answering the tough questions when it comes to your shortcomings, when every fight that you've been in, literally every fight that Jermall's been in, has been a shortcoming. Unless we're thinking about 154. There were a couple of, exciting fights there, but nobody special of mention. Used goods. Jermall is known to fight spare tires, underclassmen, or used goods. And here we got a guy sitting at 160 pounds that honestly deserves just as much pressure as Triple G, but I hear nothing but whispers coming from the audience. And I do believe I can refer to an article that was put out yesterday. I don't want to reference who it was from, but I know I've read an article yesterday that Eddie Reynoso came out and said out of his own mouth that when it comes to the three options that Canelo has for Cinco Dinello, or however they fucking say it, Jermall Charlo is the easiest choice out of the three. And I would have to agree with you. Because if those three challenges are Jermall Charlo, Dimitri Bivol, or going up to 100, going up to cruiserweight and fighting Alunga Mukabu, yes, Jermall Charlo is the easiest choice. And quite frankly, he stops him with absolutely no problem. Now, are those guys talented? Sure, they're talented. Do they have raw athleticism? Sure, they have raw athleticism. But yet and still, if you're raw on the championship level and you want to entertain guys who aren't raw, who are poised, who are skilled, who can handle themselves under pressure, whether they're getting hit or whether they're down a couple rounds, and can still operate within the fashion of which a championship fighter is supposed to be showing and proving on that level, he doesn't stand a chance. On the championship level, look, dude, it's sink or swim. And these two individuals are in a position where they can really sink. Now, Tony Harrison, we know he goes on mental vacation on a fight-by-fight basis. Does Brian Castano go on a mental vacation in any fight? He doesn't. The pressure is consistent from lower mid-range, from shorter mid-range, and he's constantly pawing the jab at you, looking for the power shot, pressing you, cutting you off, and trying to keep you on the rope and fucking countering you at every chance he gets with thudding shots. Smaller and always inside. Pause. So, at this point in their career, they can't afford to be raw. At this point in their career, they can't afford to be lied to. At this point in their career as champions, they can't afford to be pacified. They can't be affording to try to, shun every reporter that want to ask certain questions. Because if you really look at the recent history, it would have to show us that these guys do not perform well under pressure. And right now, Jermell is more pressured than ever. Sooner or later, Jermall is going to be more pressured than ever. Because I don't see how casual boxing fans let this individual escape without acknowledging the fact that he has done absolute shit ever since he's grabbed that 160-pound title. And let's be serious here. This guy was jumping for joy at the sight of beating Sergey Derevyanchenko. He thought he had won a fucking Powerball. He thought he had won the Mega Millions. Am I lying? I'm just saying. That's how we're going to open this shit up, and that's how I feel. The mentality of a Jermall and Jermell is highly questionable. And where they go from here is highly questionable. And when it comes to that fight date of March 12th or March 19th, though it's not set in stone, Jermell's career is in a highly questionable state. But he does have the ability to carry on and do a lot better than his brother because he consistently fights better opposition than his brother, and he operates a lot better than his brother. It's like, the sorrier Charlo has the better trainer and the better Charlo has the worst trainer. I don't know how you guys feel about Derrick James, but that's exactly how I feel about him. CM10 salute. Mr. T, what's goody? Would Jermell or Jermall stand out from the crowd if they weren't twins? I don't think so. Only my opinion. And see, I would have to absolutely agree with you there because I don't see them standing out as anything special. And honestly, the twin thing is kind of what, like helps their marketing capabilities. Because shit, if you got two twins that aren't bad looking individuals who know how to talk, honestly, they should have no problem. That's an easy sell for anybody. I don't give a fuck if you send them over there to Salidas Promotions. It's an easy sell for anybody. Shit, Ludabella could, like do great things with those guys and shit. He doesn't even have and he's just kind of like he's always in a co-promoting situation because he doesn't have the major machine. But that isn't hard to sell. You have two athletically gifted twins. But to be perfectly honest, if we're looking at this thing on paper and if we're specifically sticking to what boxing is about, nah, man. Nah. These dudes don't stand out in front of anybody. Let's see what else we got here. Shout out to the bro boxing god. It should have been over the first Castano fight. And I agree. And that's why, in the video I did, I had to put in there that I feel as though Brian Castano is the true unified champion. And he should have let go of Derrick James in that instant. Like, look, you're either going to grow or you're not. You're going to consistently get better or you're going to get worse. You're either going to learn to protect your neck, protect your face, protect your body, and learn how to operate correctly in the ring, or you're not. And it seems to me that he falls short on all of those things when it comes to the tutelage of Derrick James. I don't know if anybody else sees it, but I, for one, see it. And honestly, this isn't me wishing bad on Jermell. Because if there was any one of the twins that I wanted to see succeed, Jermell would be the one. You want to know why? Because he doesn't give a fuck. And because he can't tolerate anybody sharing his space and not wanting to be better than them. If they have a belt, he wants to grab it. But then again, I have to question his mental toughness. You want to know why I say that? Because after the fight, the first post-fight interview you get when you have to deal with Jim Gray, what did he say? What did he say? When he was asked about a rematch, what did he say? I need to talk to Al. If you truly felt like you won that fight, you did everything you were supposed to do to win it, and you really feel like it is some type of bias interest going on, and the judges don't work properly within your favor, blah 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 blah, you would have no problem saying that we got to get right back in the ring and do this. There wouldn't be no delays, no holdups. And I'm telling you, both of you guys are under the same promotion. So don't sit up here and act like, Al Heyman is going to allow some mandatory to get in the way, or this is going to be some type of promotional ploy to keep you away from Brian Castano. If anything, Al Heyman would try to keep you away from Brian Castano because he knows you can't beat him. And he feels as though you're more marketable out the two. But you're not. You're not. Could you be a star? You absolutely could be. Could your brother be a star? He absolutely could be. But ever since Jermall's run from 154 to 160, I haven't seen shit but the little people. That's all he fights is the little people. When you look at Jermell he's just ready to step on necks. But the thing about it is, you're not going to crush the competition if you don't have the proper foresight to go out and handle your business. If you're not bringing your hard hat and your lunch pail to work, if you're not ready to get blue collar busy, you're not going to amount to shit. And I don't see that in Jermell Charlo right now, behind Derrick James. All I see is an individual that is proud to be in a situation, and because however they manipulated the little system and they worked around with Errol Spence and they put this whole myth in the freaking boxing world around 147 that Errol Smith is this fire-breathing dragon with freaking dragon skin that is just impenetrable, who hits like a freaking mule kick. We all find these things to be false. Every single individual who has been tutored by Derrick James has come up short, has been exposed. I mean, shit, Errol Spence can't even go out there and dispose of a guy who really, truly is a 135-pound fighter. Came up 2 weight classes. And I don't want to hear anybody say that Mikey Garcia was a 140-pound fighter, because go back and look at BoxRec. It'll tell you the story. Both those individuals weighed at 138 and I believe 136 pounds. These are facts. So he never fought he never fought a light welterweight. He fought a guy who came up 2 weight classes, whose body looked like blubber, who had no business in being there. Who had no business being in the ring with him, should have been entertaining the likes of a Vasily Lomachenko. You should have been entertaining the likes of a Terrence Crawford. You couldn't even get past Sean Porter without struggling life and death and having to hit this man in the nuts over 100+ times just so you could try to secure a win. And honestly, for real, if you didn't get the knockdown, there was no way in freaking 7 hell that those judges could have saved you and given you the outcome in which they gave you, because honestly, it wasn't a majority decision win. And I still felt like, even with the knockdown, that Sean Porter should have walked away with his belt, and quite frankly, he should have walked away with your belt. So what does that say about Derrick James as a trainer? I mean, shit, look at Errol Spence when he fought Danny Garcia. We know Danny Garcia is the slowest puncher at 147 pounds. He times you like nothing the entirety of the fight. Am I lying? I think not. So When I speak in the sense and I say that, Jermell Charlo is under fire, clearly his career is under fire because at this point in time, it is a make you or break you thing. And don't get it twisted, Jermall is right behind him. Oh, he's right behind him. The pressure is about to get thick. The tension is about to be so thick in there you can cut it with a knife. Because how can we ignore the level of opposition that Jermall Charlo has fought? How can we ignore that shit? And how can we ignore the performances? Because once again, ladies and gentlemen, boxing is based off performances and it's based off of those who are behind you, helping you with your performance. And I just don't think Derrick James is that guy. And it's just funny to me that these dudes will try to argue their losses, argue their shortcomings time and time again. Usually a motherfucker who comes up short, they're going to go quietly, respectfully, with grace, go back to the drawing board and see how they can work it out. I don't see these guys doing that. And this is why I feel like, you guys know I don't reserve my opinion or anything like that. But if I don't see a sharp uppercut in Jermell's repertoire, if I don't see a lot of lateral movement, if I don't see him on the balls of his feet, in and out with it and keeping, Brian Castano at mid to long range, which is extremely hard to do because Aries Landry Lara couldn't even do it. And that fight should have been a loss for Aries Landry Lara. I don't know how he wins this fight. And it has already been proven that for the size of Brian Castano, he has a lot of pop in his gloves. What does he stand? 5'7", 5'8"? 5'7", 5'8". How is it that the little guy is putting you on the back foot for the entirety of the fight, has you running, and has you to where you can't even freaking think? He had him running. He had him on his bicycle. Isn't that odd, a guy that small? If you freaking look at if you look at the measurements and the dimensions of these two individuals, you would have to say, like anybody, Ray Charles would pick Jermell and pick him to stop him. In the same fashion, which, everybody would pick Errol Spence to stop Mikey Garcia. Jermell's got thumped, but he's missing a lot of other things. And those are the things that hold Jermell back from being as great as he needs to be. So that's why when it comes down to his fights, it's so hard for me to pick him to win. It's extremely hard because I base everything off of the skills of the sweet science and how does it carry over. Because when it gets to those later rounds, power fades. The lactic acid starts to set in. The arms get a little bit heavy. Those 5 to 6 to 7, punches that you could throw on a consistent basis, those barrages that you could throw on a consistent basis, those heavy thudding body shots that you throw on a consistent basis starts to fall off. You start to pull back a little bit, and you definitely start to pull punches a little bit more. And then it all becomes will. It becomes a game. It all bases down to what you've done in your training. And if everything with Jermell Charlo and everything with Derrick James has been consistently streamlined, A to B, A to B, A to B, where's the plan C and D? Where, you know what I'm saying? How can you really go in the tool shed if the tools aren't really there, if somebody else is renting them out? I don't know who's got the motherfuckers, but clearly there's a lot of athleticism there. Clearly there's a lot of potential there. Clearly there's a lot of things that you can mold and make much better and much greater than what they truly are. But it hasn't amounted to that in how many years it's been? How many years has it been? I mean, what, 2019? He won his first title? It's 2022, and I've not seen one significant change. Jermall Charlo has won his first title in 2017 at 154. And once again, the fact that he won it all Cornelius Brundage, that isn't something to get all supercharged up about. Shout out to K9 Brundage. No disrespect against you, but I just call it how I see it, pimp. Has there been any significant changes there? Or has there been a whole bunch of, life support matches? Fortunate enough to get up out of it. A whole bunch of pointing the fingers and blaming other individuals, but truly, you think the Charlos think other individuals are against them, but it would show in their matches that a lot of those things, they get away with shit. And the judges are definitely on their side. And you can't market shitty fucking attitudes. And you can't market shitty people. And I wonder why they fall short in those areas, considering the fact that both of them come from their mother and father being in their lives the entirety of their childhood. It's not like they didn't grow up with their parents. Yeah. So why do they put on this whole fucking false gangster persona and all of this bullshit, and they run around like they super thugging it when you're in a professional sport with children that look up to you and so on and so forth? Y'all motherfuckers is out here running around like y'all thugs and shit like that and gotta pretend to be tough guys that you're truly not. Because I seen a guy named Danny Jacobs who survived cancer, shout out to him, pull up on you and pull your bitch ass card, and he had a goddamn S-curl in his head. So since when does a so-called gangster get his card pulled by a guy running through a fucking coming to the backstage of arena with a goddamn S-curl and a silk fucking shirt on his back? And you don't want no smoke. You don't want no smoke. You don't want no smoke. I'm just saying, has a gangster ever really had his card pulled by a guy with a Miami, Florida freaking pastel colored shirt on and an ass curl on his fucking head? I don't know. I'm just saying though. All of this tough guy shit, focusing on the wrong things, and maybe these are the reasons why you guys don't amount to what you should amount to. But I'm telling you, if they don't start heeding warnings and seeing the signs right now, they're never going to do anything. And here's the thing, Jermall is just sitting around just waiting like, this whole freaking Canelo fight is going to fall, jump, just fall into his lap, and which it rightfully is. It might just do that considering that Canelo knows that, out of all of the three individuals, I could definitely stop this dude with no problem. I can make it look real good on Cinco de Mayo. Somebody tell me I'm lying. Jermell would hurt, Canelo would hurt that boy. And I think that all of the hardcore boxing fans of the world and people who really got a love and respect for boxing, we the type motherfuckers that wouldn't have one problem with seeing that shit go down in spectacular fashion. Because I, for one, know that I wouldn't have one problem with seeing him getting stood up in spectacular fashion by Canelo's heavy right and left hands. Because we know how Canelo moves and operates with a lot of patience, but he's coming forward on the front foot. He's going to stay mid-range, and he's going to fire off at that body and fill that freaking basement up full of water until he floods you out, and then he's going to come upstairs, and he's going to rock your fucking skull, put you to sleep, flatline, vital signs is weak, drag him out, the fight is over, wake him up with some smelling salt, and let's ask him where the fuck he at. I'm dead ass. Let's see here. I'm rooting for Mel, but Maul can fuck off with his ducking ass. Man, I like Jermell. I really do. But I'm just of the thought, Mr. T, that I don't see how he can grow with Derrick James. And I don't see how he could grow with the same freaking patterns and the same excuses that he always has. And let's be quite honest here. I'm going to ask you guys straight up, real spill. Was it Jermell Charlo that beat Tony Harrison and Tony Harrison versus Jermell Charlo 2, or was it Tony Harrison that beat himself? Yeah, if Jermell beat Tony, or no, if Tony beat himself. I'm just saying. Because if you guys were to ask me that, and you guys wanted my honest opinion on that, I would have to say that Tony Harrison beat himself in that fight. Because to be perfectly honest, I felt like Tony Harrison came on a lot smarter. He was a lot sharper, and he was landing with a lot more efficient shots than he was doing in the first fight. The only thing was, he allowed himself to get clipped. What was it, in the second round, I believe? And then in the later rounds, he started freaking looking at the judges and doing all types of weird shit, like his head just wasn't in the fight. But I believe Tony Harrison's father had just passed away from so-called COVID at the time. So I could understand why an individual head might not be in the game. And the reason I asked that question is because if that is the case, that Tony Harrison beat himself, then he's never learned from his mistakes. So how could he learn from his mistakes against Brian Castano if he truly felt like he was in that fight for the entirety of the time? But if you guys really look at his eyes, if you look at his mannerisms, and you look how he was sitting at that table, and during that post fight, it would tell you that, man, he was just thankful to get up out of that thing after getting his bell rung in round 3, because it could have been over in round 3, but he got saved by the bell. So once again, that tells me Jermell Charlo, as the title states, is completely under fire and his reign is in jeopardy if he never learned anything from the first Tony Harrison fight, if he's never learned anything from the first Castano fight. And I mean, I don't freaking hate on an individual's run on trying to be great in the boxing world, but it's my job to observe and to break down what I feel as though is going on in and outside of the ring. And I feel as though he's not taking the time to capitalize on his mistakes and capitalize on his weaknesses and become better. And I think a lot of that is Derrick James' fault. Because if I were to imagine the great Ronnie Shields in the corner of a Jermell Charlo, good God Almighty, it'd be different. It'd be different. Like, what does Derrick James do? What does he do? What does he do? You have a bunch of hyper-talented guys that pretty much go out there and they just compete at their own validity, and for real, they kind of fight, you know what I'm saying, doing their own thing. And I don't think, you measure, I don't think you tell them the proper things to do when it comes to execution. And I think we all can witness that by watching the fight and seeing what is taking place within the four corners. The truth comes out there. And what you're telling them and how you're speaking to them, that just lets me know everything I need to know. And what the fuck you be saying and what the hell they be doing isn't necessarily good. Well, I could say that it's good, but it ain't great. It ain't championship caliber. It ain't championship level. And it damn sure isn't on the level where you could deal with a Canelo Alvarez. It isn't on the level where you could deal with a Demetrius Andrade. Right or wrong? Salute, IOTBA. It's been a minute, Brody. How you feeling, man? Love the work, bro. Great video, big dog. You cooking. Man, I'm trying, man. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep this boxing shit going, man. Guys like us got to keep boxing on the up and up, man. We got to stay the truth in this shit, man, because these motherfuckers is running around and they telling a whole bunch of lies. He thinks he's a knockout artist, but he's not. Yo, like, if you watch the video, and I'm sure you caught it, Jared, if you watch the video that I just put out, same thing in the Tony Harrison one fight after the fight was over when he was crying, talking that video game shit. What did he say? He said, I got power, I believe in my power, and these judges are against me, and if I don't get the knockout, then, certain things can happen. So look, bro, in championship level boxing, you cannot focus on solely your power. Your power is only going to get you so far. And in the great words of Andre Ward, when your power fails you, then what? What you going to do? Because the power isn't going to be there up for you all the time. And when you climb up the ladders of competition, what the fuck you going to do then? If the power fails you, what are you going to do? If the streamline A to B shit isn't going to work? And let's be honest, he isn't one individual that likes to throw shots at the body too often. So what you going to do? If you're not moving lateral, if you ain't on the tippy toes of your feet, if you're not staying balanced, if you're not staying mid or long range, if you're not popping the jab successfully, if you're not keeping your opponent at the end of your jab, what are you going to do? Does he clinch? I don't even know if the motherfucker clinches for real. Like, these are the things like that you already supposed to know. Shit, when Demetrius Andre got cracked by Liam Williams, and don't get it twisted, Liam Williams can crack. And I'm looking forward to that Liam Williams-Chris Eubanks fight too. That should be really good. Y'all should definitely check that shit out. Andre knew what to do off the rip. And that tells me about individuals that are supposed to be in certain types of fight, or when certain shit takes place in certain types of fight, how they going to respond to it. Soon as Andre got cracked, he already knew what he did. He locked that motherfucker right hand up so goddamn quick, that motherfucker wasn't getting that bitch out. He wrapped him up real quick. The Reynolds way. He got wrapped up real quick. When Charlo got hit, that motherfucker, it was like, when fight or flight kicks in, I saw that motherfucker get his Jordan wings, man. That motherfucker didn't know what to do when Castano hopped on him in that third round, man. That shit was like bully level beatdown right there. So when it comes to this championship thing, when it comes to this thing we call championship level boxing, and having the ability and the capabilities to understand what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing inside of the ring, these are the things that I don't think Derrick James really equipped these guys with. Because this is the shit you're supposed to know in the amateurs. You're supposed to learn this shit in the amateurs. You're supposed to have this shit under control in 10, 11 fights. You should already have that shit under control. And he don't got it. And I don't know if they think like the road is going to get easier from here. Like, see, and that's the problem when promotional outfits go out of their way to protect you. And that's why I like the Top Rank school of thought when it comes to building up their fighters. And I like the Zone school of thought when it comes to building up their fighters, because they bring them through a ring of pressure. Because even they understand, fuck the laws, whatever the case may be. You have to get better by fighting other fighters who are equally as good as you. Now, do we understand the business side of it and the promotion aspect? Yeah, we get it. But at the same time, you have to put your fighters on the level with somebody that can match their type energy so you can get a true understanding of who they really are. And when it comes to getting in those big fights, we already understand what they're capable of and what they aren't capable of. Because believe it or not, if they aren't ready, it is going to hurt your business more if they are to be found more on the rookie side of things when it comes to dealing with pressure in the professional, when you're at the professional ranks. Like, there ain't no pacifying. Look, I've never been one to understand pacifying a champion. That shit is dead to me. That shit's dead. And anybody that does that is going to have you're going to have a hard time. And you're going to be explaining yourself a lot. And you're going to be explaining yourself in all of the wrong ways a lot. The question is going to become like, it's going to become Rubik's Cube complex, and you might buckle under pressure if you don't have the right word. And I'm looking at Derrick James, and he ain't the sharpest tool in the shed mentally, obviously. Clearly. It took the motherfucker 5 minutes to get to speak in one fucking simple metaphor, talking about pushing the pedal to the metal. Push the metal to the pedal, pedal metal. You pedal to the floor, pedal metal. Fuck out of here, man. Man of day, salute. What's goody, King? Dragon leg, what's popping, bro? Jermell needs to throw them jabs and uppercuts against Castano. That's what I just said a little bit earlier, Dragon leg. I said, yo, the uppercut was consistently there throughout the entirety of the fight. And I don't even think we would possibly even having this conversation right now, or that title would even be headlining this conversation right now if Jermell was simply throwing the uppercut. And he never did it. Why didn't the uppercut come once? It didn't even come once in the fight. So I would have to ask, I see a similarity in Errol Spence and Jermell Charlo. So I would have to equate that to the teachings of Jermell Charlo and Errol Spence, because they are, once again, they operate and they do things the same way. So I'm seeing similar outcomes in both of these fighters, and both of them have the abilities to be that much better. But look, he's in a position now to where it's all about pressure. He is simply under fire. March 19th, there ain't no, you can't make no mistakes. There ain't no get back, bro. There ain't going to be no, look, man, if there's a rematch clause on this fight, I'm going to be pissed the fuck off too. Now, don't get it twisted. It is a very good fight. You know what I'm saying? And it quite possibly could shape up to be an amazing trilogy at 154 pounds. I will say that. But if there's a rematch clause, I'll be pissed the fuck off if I got to see Brian Castano get robbed again on a very clear and concise victory. I don't know if y'all feel that way, but I personally would. Like seeing a person get robbed once in boxing is enough to make you really go outside and punch somebody in the face that you really don't like. If you pass them in the grocery store, if you pass them in the public or whatever, if you have any type of animosity in your heart, you know what I'm saying, or on your mind based off of, you know what I'm saying, the shitty and bullshit outcome of the fight, considering all of the things fighters have to go through, the shitty pays, the large percentages that come out of the cuts of their money, having to fly the trainers over, the long layoffs and being away from your family and all of the shit that a fighter has to go through mentally in form of the preparation and then getting to the fight and then freaking being nervous, a nervous wreck and having to perform the way you should, knowing your career's on the line, and then you perform the way you should, and you're the underdog and your career's on the line, and then you get robbed. Dude, it's enough to make you want to throw up. I don't like dealing with that shit. I don't even like witnessing that shit. That's the shit that really pisses me off. So when I speak in the sense of a rematch clause, that's where I get pissed. Because it ain't enough that you already robbed a kid once. If there's a rematch clause in place to protect this guy again, dude, give me a freaking break. Because to be perfectly honest, if you look at Brian Castano, you look at the size of this guy and the way in which he operates and shit, like, yo, he has to do everything perfect. Because believe it or not, it's a proven fact that Jermell Charlo's power is there throughout the entirety of the evening of the fight. He can knock you out in the first. He can knock you out all the way to the 12th. That, my friend, is a recipe for disaster for anybody, especially the shorter guy who has to play the inside game time and time and time again, round by round by round by round. God damn it, to see a person get robbed in that fashion is damn near heartbreaking, frustrating, and makes me want to go outside and just punch somebody I really dislike the way they frown their freaking face right in the jaw. God damn it, just turn that shit into a swing set. Just punch them, hook them right in the jaw. Just for looking at me, even if they just smiled at me in my direction, I still want to hook them. I got a lot of shit on my mind right now. You had to get knocked out because I feel like that. Blame it on the judges. Blame it on the delusions of the Charlo twins. Blame it on shitty punishry work. Blame it on the corruption that is boxing. But you had to get punched in the face from all of my freaking insignificant woes from watching a man get cheated. I don't need this in my life, goddammit. I don't need it in my life at any time. Dude, do you know how hard it was to watch me you know what I'm saying, Hogan get robbed in the fight against Jaime Munguia for the 154-pound titles? Y'all know how hard that was? Like, dude, like, let's be serious here. Like, Dan Hogan, right? Island Cat? It's Dan Hogan, right? Dan or Dennis? I think it's Dan. That dude got robbed in that fight. That is another example of a guy having to go out there and do everything freaking perfect, getting robbed, knowing he doesn't have the financial backing that other fighters have, and other fighters being set up in their careers. That's the shit about boxing that blows me. So damn a rematch clause. All I want is a proper outcome. Where the hell did 117, what was it? 117, 111, 117, what was it? What was it in the Charlo Castano fight where there was that super wide margin? 117 to what? That shit was on some goddamn Islam Lara Canelo. It was on some Floyd Mayweather Canelo type shit. But the only difference is it went in the way of a freaking Jermell Charlo who damn sure didn't deserve it. 117? Where the hell do you get 117 in that fight? Shit, man. Shit is crazy. Ronald Finkley, salute. Appreciate you with the super chat, doggy. Crawford should take the winner. Yo, y'all, you know I've been harping about that shit for the since shit, man, for about what? It's been about a year and a half now, 2 years now, Dragon Leg. I've been of the same sentiments, man, that I feel like looking at, if you look at Terrence Crawford and all of the things he's made of, and if you look at his freaking career, and if you just look at his campaign and his run at 147 pounds, it has been nothing but complete fucking destruction. And I mean, when you look at the competition, oh my God, he is worlds above him. I mean, look, worlds between them, atmosphere, like galaxies between them. I mean, shit, he's in a completely different freaking, he's just in a completely different fucking world than the rest of the talent that he's surrounded with. I mean, shit, he comes right up there, he just destroys Jeff Horn like ain't nothing to it. Then he runs through everybody else like these motherfuckers are amateurs, like they ain't been on championship level the entirety of their fucking careers. Then when everybody's sitting there calling for the Shawn Porter, like, oh, nobody knocks out Shawn Porter. Oh, he's going to look normal against Shawn Porter. What does he do against Shawn Porter? He just completely destroys him too. And in every sense where everybody thought Shawn Porter was doing something and looking halfway decent, he wasn't even touching him. He wasn't even touching him. Bomac literally said, all right, dude, pick it up. And he went out there and he knocked him straight the hell out. I mean, knocked him straight the hell out. So when I say, you know what I'm saying, I've been like, yo, if people are going to consistently try to hold Terrence Crawford back and keep him away from unifying the rest of those titles, where he can become an undisputed champion and hold the undisputed reign at 140 and 147 pounds, then dude, go up to 154, take your freaking WBO up there, exercise your option, go up to 154 and bust Brian Castano's ass. Yo, that'd be a really good fight too. Or bust freaking Jermell Charlo's ass, whoever holds it, bust all their ass. Strategically go up there and take it, because truthfully, if he's knocking those guys in the fashion of which he's knocking them out at 147, I truly feel like he has enough power and he has the dimensions to carry over to 154 and be successful there. My whole thing is, I just don't feel like, this era in boxing really trips me out, because I don't feel like an individual should consistently have to climb and climb and climb at the direction of when everybody wants to sit up there and necessarily not give you the fight, or so-called politics, quote unquote, stand in the way of you getting the fight or whatever. I don't feel like a person should have to consistently chase ghosts to get glory. That's bullshit to me. You should not have to consistently always chase ghosts or climb up divisions or put your body through some shit that you shouldn't have to necessarily put it through to try to get, you know what I'm saying, some level of, to refine your legacy, to go ahead and cement that, stamp that. Can't nobody say nothing. There's no debate. I've done it all. You shouldn't have to unless you really want to. Everybody should be willing to compete with everybody. All of this whole promotional mumbo jumbo and shit like that, I hate to say it, but it seems like at 147, it seems like PBC has to, raise their hand and they have to, take responsibility for that. And this ain't no slight against the PBC. I'm just saying it is what it is. It is exactly what it is. So in that regard, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I would like to see Terrence Crawford, unify the division. I'd like to see whatever happens after Ugas and Errol Spence, because clearly there's no other direction for him to go. Hopefully that shot comes to fruition for Terrence. But right now, Terrence got some bullshit going on with him, man. Like, dude, he don't stand he don't stand a Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, I'm back. My bad, y'all. Technical difficulties, mic in and out, Reaper Gang Radio. Oh, nah, I hit mute. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Y'all see the new Crawford documentary that came out yesterday? It's fire. What did it come out on? ESPN? If there's any sport that shouldn't be cheating or robbing, it should be combat sports, bloody enough as it is. Man, like, come on, man. Like, think of Patrick Day, Maxim Dadashev, and, you know, the type of year that boxing had, and what was it? I believe that was 2020. 2020? We had back-to-back deaths. We had 3 deaths in 2020 alone. So, like, yo, that's despicable. It's literally unforgiving when you go out here and you watch these judges rob people. And the fact that, look, man, I'm sorry, bro. I'm too much of a passionate person. I'm too much of a real individual to watch shit like that go down. Because if I was a part of it, yo, like, I would make sure those who are doing the robbing and those who are part of the corruption, I would make sure I would break all of my foot all the way in their ass. They would have fucking butter Timberlands going straight through their ass and out their freaking throat. They could taste the Timberland trees in their fucking mouth because I would shove heavy foot all the way through their ass. Like, it's bad enough, you know what I mean? The game is hella rigged already. You know what I'm saying? And the only people that aren't in on it is the ones that are in the ring. Or maybe there are some of them. But from my understanding or the way I look at boxing, I feel like the ones that are doing the rigging or the ones that are doing the shady shit, I feel like that falls on those that are behind the scenes, those ventriloquists, those puppet masters. Those are the ones that are consistently pulling the strings and are consistently fucking the game up. I feel like those are the individuals that are responsible for it. And these are the guys that never lace up gloves. These are the guys that never put their blood, sweat, and tears in anything. They just take their blood money and they fucking put it down. Whether it has to do with, you know, Vegas bets, odds, or whether it has to do behind the scenes betting, whether it's William Hill, whether it's, you know, sports bookies all spread throughout Las Vegas to Reno. Whether it's undercutting the black market of betting or whatever the case may be, those guys that are behind the scenes, those guys who have their hands in other things, those guys that even have their hands in promotion, I feel like those are the motherfuckers that are responsible for a lot of the fuckery that the fighters are going through. And those are the guys who ain't never had to tape up, ain't never had to wrap up, ain't never had to glove up, ain't never had to motherfucking put no miles in on no hard fucking pavement, ain't never had to have no medicine balls bounce off their fucking chest to harden up their ass, ain't never had to spend no time on no goddamn heavy bags, none of the above. Ain't never had to sharpen their skills for nothing. All they did was rob, steal, and kill to get their way to the motherfucking top while they watch other people sacrifice their body, their mental freaking health and capabilities, while I'm sitting here watching all these great fighters who have, you know what I'm saying, shed blood, sweat, and tears in the ring throughout the years, you know, and they have all of this neurological freaking damage based on those who have never done anything or never contributed anything in the game other than besides the, you know what I'm saying, the dirt and the underbelly of, you know what I'm saying, and the alleyways and the cracks and crevices of everything that is dark that has to do with boxing. These are the ones who are responsible for fucking these individuals over and crushing their dreams time and time and time again. And as you grow up and you realize, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, it really fucking deflates you because you realize, yo, life, man, the way they try to paint this shit and the way they try to paint this sports shit, every foundation that sports stand on, these are the motherfuckers who are fucking it up. Some bullshit, bro. Some bullshit, bro. Some of those guys they got robbed for look so bad they might not even want to fight again. It's sad, bro. Like, man, look, man. You get your jaw broken, you get your freaking nose cracked a few times, you get your orbital bone broke, you get your eye socket, you know what I'm saying, shattered. You know what I mean? You piss blood, you know what I'm saying? you know what I mean, ruptured kidney or some shit like that a fucking few times or whatever. And you tell me how you feel after you get up outside of the ring. And then you got to ask yourself, and especially if you won, then you got to ask yourself if you really got it in you, because not only is it a physical comeback, it's a mental comeback as well. And believe it or not, the physical can bounce back. The doctor might give you 6 to 12 weeks, but the mental might give you 1 to 3 years. So you might see a superior specimen walking around in his career, and he might look great, but up top, if you ask a man, as men, we already know this shit. Half of the time we say we all right, and you know what I'm saying? That means we just barely getting by for real, for real. So put that shit on a fighter plate. All of these robberies and shit, man. And that's why that shit be rubbing me all the way the wrong way, because I'm like, bro, like, yo, y'all motherfuckers must be soulless. Y'all must be soulless. Y'all might not, y'all motherfuckers can't have a heart or soul or any type of dignity or integrity as human fucking beings to do the type of things that you do consistently, bro. I look at it like, man, that shit really make my blood boil just thinking about it, man. It really does. You hear that Floyd is caught up in a ticket scalping scandal. Hey, man, I wouldn't doubt it. But see, the crazy thing about this, and a lot of people wouldn't, you know what I'm saying, talk this way. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. There isn't nobody with money that ain't caught up in something that isn't illegal. And y'all might not agree with me, but everybody does some illegal shit at some point in time. It's just those who get caught and those who don't. And that ticket scalping or whatever the case may be, man, whatever, that shit light to me. Kind of laughable or whatever. Like, hey, that's one of the lighter things you could do. There are people that are caught up in a lot more heavy shit than that. Like, imagine allegedly. Let me watch what I say on this radio, on this channel. But allegedly, imagine the things that you know Al Heyman could have been caught up in. Or imagine some of the things that Bob Arum has been caught up in. Barry Hearn, Eddie Hearn, anybody, allegedly. Because truthfully speaking, to get certain things done, you need certain type of people. And power just doesn't come fly by night, and it doesn't come easily. Shit, you could think of anybody, in or outside of boxing, behind every great position and behind every great so-called individual that stands at the top of whatever mountain they're in their profession. Tell me there isn't somebody that is black market that is built to handle certain shit and get certain shit done that those individuals aren't willing to get done. That, my friend, is what we call a fixer. Everybody has one. If you have any type of money, everybody's got an intel guy. Everybody's got a guy that can go and get shit done that the normal individual every day, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3 type guy can't get done. These are facts. There's not been one part of American history, and especially American or European boxing history, that I can't think of. I mean, shit, anywhere across the world, that there hasn't been one individual that wasn't there to provide some level of fixing or provide their services and lend their expertise to helping fix certain situations so they can move in their favor. That is what we call the American way. That's truthfully the American way. Honestly. While we, as hardworking Americans, Europeans, wherever we are in the world, while we work hard every day, scratching and surviving, doing all of the things necessary we need to do to get by, these are the individuals that are selling you a dream, marketed on you on TV and everything else, all throughout the boxing world, all throughout the sporting world, all throughout, the financial industry. These are the individuals that are telling you dream big, work hard, do this and that, and it'll just work in your favor, but really does it? And it's almost laughable when they get exposed and you see the things that they're caught in and you find out that shit was never true. They all cut corners, man. They all cut corners. So in that way, I'm not surprised. So laughable it is, but surprised, not at all. Not at all. Just wasn't, just probably, and that's not even allegedly speaking, because you're innocent until proven guilty. Once again, the American way. I mean, shit, let's just think about it in this aspect. When it comes to just boxing, it just comes to life. When you go to court, what do you see standing? When you go to court, what is the symbol of, what is the symbol of justice? It is a blind female holding two scales. So what does that tell you? That tells you that this shit, hey, if I don't see it, you ain't guilty of it. This is how this shit works, man. Some of these promoters may have Suge Knight to get stuff done. Man, all of them have a Suge Knight, bro. I ain't surprised. You know what I mean? Like that big white dude that moved with Anthony Joshua that's supposedly his bodyguard. Imagine the shit that he does in the evening when he's off. Allegedly. Or the other guy that's always with Bob Arum, the bald-headed black guy. Imagine the shit that he's doing behind the scenes to get things done. Allegedly. Every single one of these individuals, they got somebody that can handle all of the dirty work where it's like, yo, we hands-on, but technically we're hands-off. This is how this works. This is how it works. So it's just like, yo, I'm not foreign to the concept of, hey, man, by any means necessary. That works in all areas of life. These motherfuckers are by any means necessary. Cause with the type of mindset they have to have, these motherfuckers gotta win, man. And in boxing, yo, you can't tell me, yo, let's be honest here. There isn't no area in boxing where you could just say, yo, we're gonna just go about this shit the right way. Like, we're going to do this the right way. We're going to, go about getting all of our fighters the right way, holding these fights the right way. We're going to get our judges. They're going to judge these situations the right way. Everybody's going to handle this operation within good faith. Where's the fun in that? For them, I should say, allegedly. Could we honestly believe that any of these individuals would handle any of this shit in good faith? Could they even hold the positions that they hold, or have the longevity and be able to have the consistent level of power in which they have and the movement in which they have in boxing if they handle it in good faith? I mean, shit. Let's think of what is it? The Kinahan family? MTK, Max the Knife. Allegedly. What's his name? Dan Kinahan? Irish Mob? Allegedly? So, we could think of current events, or we could go back in the day to things that we already know that are set in stone and written in paper. None of this shit is handled by, hey, we're just going to do this shit the right way. They've never done it the right way. Boxing has always been done the wrong way. Look, boxing is allergic to having a commission. Boxing is allergic to having a fighters union or anything of that nature. It'll never fucking happen. These dudes are tap dancing in corruption and they loving every minute of it. Allegedly. Make sure I throw that allegedly out there to protect, what I'm saying. And my right to free speech, though things have changed a lot. But free speech, it still is, I guess. But I'm just saying, I've watched individuals be murdered in broad daylight and all of these things. I mean, professional boxers, I've watched them be murdered in broad daylight shit, even ones that were running on treadmills, getting gunned down by machine guns in all these portions of the world, all over the world. And you wonder what it's for. And then if you look at some of these individuals like Mac the Knife, look at how many fighters they have underneath their belt right now. All of that juice. Imagine where all of that juice came from. And if you don't know, there is a documentary for you guys to look at, and it is very in-depth, and it is very intriguing, and you definitely should check it out, and it'll just show you the level of corruption that is involved in American and European boxing today. Speaking on Mac the Knife alone, I mean, shit, Tyson Fury's in bed with them. I believe Chantel Cameron's in bed with them as well, and a bunch of other great fighters. So, corruption? Maybe? Or corruption? Hell yes. It is there. And it runs rampant rounds in boxing. And it's always going to be like that. Like I said, in every walk of life. And I said, man, that's why people just got to wake up and understand what it really is, man. This thing isn't about, business ain't never been a nice guy's arena. It's a gladiator, a fucking arena full of fucking sharks, just, you know what I'm saying, just out for blood. One little freaking nick or abrasion that, you know what I'm saying, that blood protrudes from your skin. They swarming on and they going to eat you alive. That's business in the boxing world. Look at Oscar, boy. He robbed Oscar and dealt with the consequences later. Schaefer crazy. Man, I'm telling you, dude. Exactly, Dolo. Right way in boxing win. How? Never. And there will never be a right way. You want to know what it is? Roll with the punches. Like, look, these dudes even did it like this, man. Like, imagine just being the fighter, right? And you go out there and you just want to, you finally get free of your promotion and you just want to have a freaking one-off and you want to have a fight with a guy just to, get that title, unify some titles or whatever. I'm not going to put any specific fighter underneath that gun, but I'm sure you guys know certain fighters who have been in that position, certain fighters who are in that position, certain fighters who are currently going through this type of thing, and certain fighters who just wouldn't adhere to it or they did. Like, and shit, UFC combined. Like, say if you're on an 8-fight contract, you're a champion, you win. Do you know they have this thing called a champions clause? Where they have the ability to hold you for 3 more fights so you don't just check out as a champion when you win at the end of your freaking deal? And try to stomp you on renegotiations and fighting PBC. Let's speak on Canelo. When Canelo just wanted to fight Caleb Plant on a one-off for the $50 million they were trying to offer him, what did they try to do to Canelo? They tried to sink him in a 3-fight deal. It is known in boxing that if you want to have a one-off with any promotion, if you're a free agent, I don't care how big you are, they try to tie you down to 3. Manny Pacquiao didn't go over to Premier Boxing Champions because he thought it was the best look for him. He went over to Premier Boxing Champions because the biggest fighter in the world was over there at the time, and he wanted to get his shot at a rematch. And the shot at that, that extremely large amount of money that came along with it. But did he get it? No. They ran him through the ring. I had him fighting the Adrian Bronas, had him fighting, losing to the Yadinius Ugases, and fighting the goddamn Keith Thurmans of the world. All of those young, hungry lions. That was 3 right there. Promises not made. That's just the game they play. They put you in situations where they're like, oh, no, if you want this belt, we're going to hold you for 3. You better read between the fine print. It's no different than, it's no different than prescription medications being marketed on screen and you see that little freaking writing that goes across the screen at the bottom and shit, where they really don't mention the side effects. The side effects come in just this real little fine print across the screen. It's like, oh, you could grow a 3rd nipple, bleeding out your anus, you know what I'm saying? Your kidneys might fail. You're going to break out with freaking just hives. You're going to have wild, crazy acne. Your eyes is going to bust bloodshot. You might lose a few blood cells, all types of wild shit. That's boxing. It's all of the shit in the little fine print that you can't see they try to hold you to. God damn it, the shit is corrupt. Those are the games they play. They don't want you to win unless you're winning with them. And then if you're winning with them, they want to hold you down, lock you down, shackle you down. You feel like a fucking prisoner. Are you a free man or aren't you? Contracts are like the new form of slavery when it comes to the boxing world because of the way they go about doing their business. That's why I respect Devin Haney for the way he's going about his. He's not in Eddie Hearn doesn't have him under any contract. That's why I fuck with Eddie. Eddie don't have him under any contract, but he's going to work with Eddie the entirety of his career. Eddie shapes and molds the fight that he needs to. He deals with one of the biggest promoters in the game, and he deals with a powerhouse in that way, but he's in full control of DHP Promotions, and that means everything goes back to him. Eddie just gets a smaller percentage instead of getting the major percentage that he's supposed to get. That way you minimize the expenses, excuse me. Boxing's dirty, man. It's extremely dirty. Daniel Kinahan is a very nice man, and it's great for boxing, just in case he's watching. Yeah, hey, man, I love Daniel Kinahan. He's a great guy. Like, seriously. Like, look, I don't know about, anything else. All I know is when it comes to Mac the Knife, oh, my God, they're very, very, like, yo, their prominence in the boxing world. Oh, my God, you have a promising career if you're over there. And they breed world champions. Shout out to Sonny Edwards. Shout out to Chantel Cameron. Shout out to Tyson Fury. And shout out to all the other individuals that are involved as well. God damn it, they're doing their thing over here. They have a very big stable, and God damn it, they're a force to be reckoned with. I wonder why. It's just got to be great work. Hard work and dedication overcomes all with Mac the Knife. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's it. That's all I'm saying. But look, man, this has been great, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Oh, yeah. And if anybody is betting on the Thurman fight tonight, I wanted to give you guys my new prediction on what is going on and what is taking place. I have Keith Thurman winning by unanimous decision. At first, I said he was going to knock him out in 8-12, but then I really got the sides up Mario Barrios, and I got the sides up Keith Thurman. Mario Barrios was a very big 140-pounder coming up. Keith Thurman, even on his layoff, if we think of Keith Thurman's last 4 fights, he lost to Manny Pacquiao. He's going to dance on Mario Barrios for sure. He's going to be an extremely hard target to hit. But for those who are betting or anybody who's on DraftKings doing the free poll or anything like that, I feel as though Keith Thurman is going to win this fight by unanimous decision. If there's going to be knockdowns, it's going to be less than 1.5. It's going to be 1.5 or less. But I do see this fight going the distance. Even though Keith Thurman has a 70% knockout ratio, he has a 70% knockout ratio off of individuals that aren't necessarily heralded. If we look at guys like Josecito Lopez, I feel as though he should have knocked out Josecito Lopez. If we look at guys like, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, those guys are on a different level, but at the end of the day, it's a consistent pattern of him not knocking out individuals. So I would have to go for a unanimous decision. But if you do want to pick the knockout, if you are betting on Keith Thurman in this particular fight, I would suggest that you pick the knockout in between 8-12 for sure. Because I don't know if Keith Thurman is going to really be looking to knock this kid out. And Mario Barrios has shown that he can take a lot of punishment. I know Tank Davis was coming up from 135 pounds, teetering in between 130 and 140. But the fact of the matter is, Tank Davis hits extremely hard. I mean, they hit extremely hard. I mean, he hits extremely hard. And I don't know. And I think that even Tank Davis being 135 pounder fluctuating in between weights, I feel as though he has equally as much power as Keith Thurman would have at 147 and possibly quite beyond that. His power is just much different. He punches with conviction. And I know that Keith, and if it does come, it might be from the counter step back uppercut or the counter step back hook, because Keith Thurman and his timing is, elite level. But it's been a while since he's been in the ring. He's going to have to shake off a lot of rust. So those are the things that I'm taking in consideration when I'm picking a unanimous decision when it comes to the fight right now. But I would say, guys, take place. I mean, if you're going to watch, I do think, stylistically it makes up for a good fight. Mario Barrios, once again, he likes to block a lot of punches with his face. And that's what's going to get him in trouble. And if the knockout comes, it is going to be based off of the fact that he likes to block a lot of punches with his face. So I'm kind of like torn in between it. So it's up to those of you guys who are betting to decide whether you want to go knockout or whether you want to go, whether you want to go knockout or whether you want to go UD. But for me, I'm going UD in this situation, and might be able to cash out a little bit of money on this situation. Hopefully, we do. William Hill bookies, I'm coming for you. Those of you guys that are listening. And another thing too, I think I'm gonna start doing like my own little like DFS and prediction, like weekly or important fights and stuff like that, and putting together a chart and statistics for everybody to look at. So if those of you who are interested in betting and things of that nature, you guys can have an accurate depiction or more of an accurate depiction of what fighters do, their tendencies round by round, their punch output, jabs, power punch, et cetera, what their knockout percentage, all of that stuff. So you guys could, be more engaged in what's going on and be able to make a proper pick and proper predictions and possibly put some money in your pocket when it comes to, these fights. No filler. And another thing, man, guys, if I know I've never asked, and it's never been one of my things to really ask, but we're going through a real problem with this algorithm thing. And now I understand why certain individuals are doing it who have never done it before. But please, if you really support the channel, man, you guys know I don't ask for much, man, but I would like, for everybody to hit the comment, hit the like and comment on the channel, as freely as you will, if there's something pertaining to something that you want to talk to, because it really helps the algorithm and it really helps the channel get out to more people. And I'm going back to really, putting my all in this shit and wanting to see this thing grow and seeing boxing on equal footing with all of the false narratives that are going on in the world. So if you really support Reaper Gang Radio and if you support what I'm doing over here, man, just pound that freaking like button, man. Just show up in the comment section, man, and just show some love, man. So hopefully we can get this channel out to the world. I've even started an Instagram. I have my Reaper Radio Twitter, Reaper_radio on Twitter, I believe, at Reaper_radio on Twitter. And then we have Reaper_gang_radio on Instagram. If you want to start following, I'll be posting up snippets, predictions, shorts on there as well. And let's try to just, keep this boxing thing going, man, and keep boxing alive for those who really appreciate it, man. And for all of you, for all my Reapers, man, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. It's Saturday, our favorite holiday, man. Let's get geared up, man, and let's watch some boxing, man. So everybody, man, I hope you enjoy your day, man. Enjoy the fights. And you already know tomorrow is Super Nipple Sunday. I will be kicking it off at 6 o'clock to 6:30 in the evening, maybe 7, depending on how my schedule is. I know I usually run it in the morning, but after I took the vote, it rounded out that the general consensus was it works out better for everybody around the world at around 6 to 9. So I always make sure that if I go live, I will make sure that it is at that 6 o'clock Eastern time in the evening for everybody, to make sure everybody gets to catch the show. So hopefully you guys appreciate what we're doing over here. We're going to be doing a lot more. And, we're going to take this thing seriously, man, see how far we can take it, man. So once again, as we always say at the end of this shit, it costs you nothing to pay a nigga no mind. I appreciate all you guys, man. Peace and many blessings, man. Take care of yourselves out here. The world is fucking crazy right now. As always, it's the motherfucking boss. Respect.